Hello and welcome to this episode of High Achievers, and I'm so glad that you could find time to join me. I'm excited about today's edition. I will be meeting and having a chat with engineer Abel Ng'andu, who is chairman and managing director of Nando consultancy. And so he'll be sharing with us his story, how he got to the helm of the EIZ, as well as how he's been managing his businesses and how he grew up, his entire story. We'll get to hear it all. So it's now time to meet him. Hello and welcome.
Thank you.
How would you describe yourself? Who's engineer Abel Ng'andu?
I'm self-driven. I'm highly ambitious. I'm somebody who demands results, especially from myself and even from others. So I'm somebody who is extremely, extremely ambitious. And I'm determined to succeed. Of course, I was born in the Copper Belt, but I just stayed in the Copper Belt for about 3, 4, 5 years. Then while I was young, my parents shifted to Lusaka. And in Lusaka, we stayed in Kuku compound. Then I went to John Howard. That's when I started my primary school at Chawama Primary School. In the beginning, my parents were telling me that I used to be, of course I would talk, but I used to be a bit shy, you know. But when I reached, I think, grade 7, I think grade 4 up to grade 7, I became very active in class. I used to score a lot of marks. I used to get the highest. I was number 1 in class. So then I passed. I went to Rwanda Secondary School. Rwanda Secondary School, in fact, from grade 8 to grade 9, I didn't really perform so well, but I passed, of course, to go to grade 10. My defining moment started in grade 10. I don't know what came to me. I just changed. I became extremely ambitious, and I became the best student at Rwanda Secondary School. Until even the time I graduated, I left Rwanda, I was the top student there. Yeah.
Take us through your tertiary education. How was it like, especially that you grew up in Chawama? Which schools did you go to?
Yeah, first of all, because from Bwalya Secondary School, when I went at University of Zambia, I was very competitive. I really wanted to be number 1. And truly, when I was at University of Zambia, the tests, the continuous assessment tests that we are doing, I was always number 1. Either number 1 or I would be number 2 much. So I was very highly driven. But I didn't stay much longer at University of Zambia, because at the time that I went at University of Zambia, I think 1993, 1992, somewhere there, 92, 93, the government had introduced cost sharing for the first time. Remember, before it was free education. Then they introduced that, no, parents have to pay 25%. That's when my parents told me, said, look, we are not going to afford you. You need to look for a scholarship. And thank God, I pushed for a scholarship at Bursaries Committee. In fact, there was a test which was organized. I think we were 70 to 80 students who wrote from the University of Zambia, and I was the only one who was picked. And I went to India. Unfortunately, in India there, I went to University of Roorkee, which is one of the Indian Institute of Technologies.
Take us through your career progression.
My career progression, first of all, I worked at Beachwood. So after having worked, I was just not satisfied. I wanted more and more. Okay? First of all, what did I want? I wanted to learn more, to know the skill of engineering. And at some point, I started developing this thing to say, let me run my own consulting firm. So I resigned to go and stay at home. Something started aging me. So look, I need to go out there and interact with people. Okay, I interact with people who can, for example, who can help me set up a company with them. But I didn't know what form it would take. Until one day, there was a RoadSIP seminar, Road Sector Investment Program seminar, which was held at Mulungushi International Conference Center. So in that seminar, I remember they were discussing that the government is going to invest $800 million in the following 10 years, and that they will invest that in the road sector, and they were looking for big companies, both consultants and contractors, who are going to participate in those tenders. Then I remember during that time, I raised my hand. I raised my hands. I said, look, can I ask a question? Then they said, okay, you can ask a question. I said, why is it that you're not talking about young people? What is in there for us in this $800 million for young people? For example, me, I'm somebody who's got 4 years experience. I've worked in a consulting engineering firm. I also want to form a consulting firm and partner with anyone who can be here so that we can work together. And the minister was there at the time. He said, look, can you stand up? That is the kind of attitude we want. When it was time, when we went on a break and we went into a queue for lunch, somebody just came to me, look, there's a white man who says, when you take your food, you should go and sit on his table so that you can have a chat. And I said to him, this man is Peter Ian Morrow from South Africa. He was from UWP South Africa. And I can tell you up to now, I thank him. It transformed my life. When you went there, he told me, look, Abel, I like the way you spoke. I can employ you now, but that's not what we want. We want a partner. And I know you're a young, dynamic young man. I want us to partner with you. And I was 31 years old. I want us to partner with you. We want you to be a director and a shareholder for Zambia, and we want you to run the Zambian office. So in the meantime, I'm not a fine authority, but why don't we meet in the evening at the Holiday Inn? So when you come at the Holiday Inn, we can talk, then we can work out on how things can go. I was so broke, can you imagine? I told him, I said, look, if I go home, I come back in the evening, I won't have the transport money to come back. Then he said, so what should I do? I said, look, at the moment, I don't have money. I just wanted to tell you that maybe we can meet now. He says, no, I want to meet in the evening after I've rested. So that's when now the guy said, okay, fine. Can I give you $100? Is this enough? I said, this is too much money. So then he told me, I said, okay, I'll change it and I'll bring you change. Then, it was at Mulungushi International Conference. And from there, I went across at Arcades, changed in the bureau. Then I jumped into a minibus, went to Chawama. In the evening, got into a minibus, dropped by a civic center there. Then I met him at the Holiday Inn there, which is now Southern Sun. So I met him and we talked. Then the story told me, it's okay, we'll call you in 2 weeks' time. We want to work with you and all that. 2 weeks' time, I went to South Africa. They sent me a ticket and all that. I went there. And you know what is very interesting there? When I reached there, I was in a panel of maybe 15 white directors, all white.
And you were the only black guy,
yes.
Young guy.
Yes, and they told me, we want to partner with you. When I just reached that office in what do you call that? In Joburg, I think near Santon there. When I reached that office and they made me sit, the first thing I realized, I said, you know what? This is greatness. And that's why God says, when you work hard, you dine with kings and queens. I felt like I looked around, I said, you know what? Let me shine. God has given me this opportunity. Let me not mess up this interview. And it was literally an interview. So they were asking me, why should we partner with you? Are you trustworthy? So I needed to argue my case. So I explained, I told them.
Especially that you were a broke partner.
Yes, I was broke. And I'd even returned him the change from the $100 after, So that's when I spoke to them. I said, okay, look, for me, I don't have money, but I've got experience, only 4 years experience. So they gave me about 5 or 6 mentors, and I can mention them. For management, it was Peter Ian Morrow. He was an engineer. So he was both mentoring me in preparation of proposals, tenders, and all that, plus managing the consulting engineering practice. Then there was Mike White. Mike White was in charge of mentoring me in highway engineering, bridges and all that. Then there was a bridge specialist. His name was Dieter Sibanac. So I used to call upon him. Then there was Sibran van Veek. He was a highway, again, geometrical engineer. So I had quite a number. Then there was Virginia Masbeck, another white lady who was now mentoring. She was a financial controller. So she was teaching me how to prepare books and all that. You can imagine where I only had engineering background, I never did accounts and management and all that, so I needed now to run the Zambian office. But when I came, what is very interesting, I like on the name. They told me, okay, fine. We want to set up this company in Zambia. What should they ask me? Abel, what should be the name of this company? So I told them, I said, no, it has to be UWP Consulting Zambia Limited. Because the company was UWP Consulting in South Africa. Then I told them, I said, no. Or I told them, I said, UWP Consulting. Then they told me, no. Abel, what about your name? I said, which name? He says, Nando. He says, yes, what about Nando? He says, what about putting Nando UWP Consulting? I said, no. Zambians don't accept Zambian names. They will never give us.
They don't support their own.
They don't support their own. They will never give us any tender. I know. They hate the local names. They said, no. But that's not true. How come in your country you've got Zulu Barrow? There's a company called Zulu Barrow, and it has got projects. Then that's when I said, yes, you're right. He says, okay, why don't we try? The reason why we want to put Nando UWP is because we want, when you fail, even your name, even your family name has failed. Because once your name is attached to it, then you have got something to lose. Because us, we've got money to lose and our good name. You have no money. So the only thing you have is your name. So you need to protect your name. Protect your name. So that's how they gave me that. And that's how Ng'andu UWP was born. And I can tell you 2 months later, they sent me $80,000 into my account as a capital.
$80,000
into my personal account.
Into equivalent. A 31-year-old man's account.
Into Abel Ng'andu personal account. And they told me the reason why because we needed to register the company first. You needed to register the company and all that. Then you open bank accounts and all that. That's when now you can now transfer the money into the company account. And they told me, Abel, you've got, this is where now your trust is being tested. If you want, you can run away with $80,000. One, you destroy your name. Two, you destroy the name of your country. We're going to know that even young people in Zambia, they're dishonest. Then you destroy the name of your family. So, go, earn your trust.
That was a big challenge.
Yes, and now they told me, Abel, just buy a small notebook where you write your expenses and all that. When I came back to Zambia, I started running the running up and down. Do you know a white guy was in charge of Zambia office, the liaison between UWP and Ng'andu UWP Zambia. The one who was responsible to make sure that I developed the company properly. He never came to Zambia until after 2 to 3 months. And when he finally came, he never asked me about the money. Can you imagine?
He did?
He did. That was not the first thing he asked me. He just told me, how is it going? And what? This thing. The first day, he never even asked me how things are. I mean, he just told me, okay, have you done this? What, this? The following day, I told him, Peter, why are you not asking me about money? Then he says, no, but Abel, look, I trust you. I said, no, Peter. Let me explain to you. I got a printout yesterday. Here's a printout of my bank statement. Out of the $85,000, I've only used $500. Even the $500 I had changed, which already was in an envelope. I had to show him how I had accounted for it. And I also had a notebook where I was writing any expense. Do you know that even in the minibus, I used to tell the minibus conductor to write on a piece of paper and sign on it.
On a minibus?
Yes. And you write that LOK, is it LOSK, whatever you write, then you sign, then write the amount there, so that I can
That was discipline.
Yes.
You mentioned a very interesting point about mentorship. It seems to be foreign here. How important is mentorship?
Mentorship in this country has gone away. You know, we don't know, maybe because the economy went bad for some time and it's even bad now and whatever, but I can tell you mentorship is very crucial. If I was not mentored by those experienced white people, and I can tell you, the minimum experience they had, each one of them, was about 30 years experience in their field. So you can imagine I'm so fortunate. And this is the Abel you see, confident, the EIZ president. I'm very, if you've seen, even when I'm being interviewed on engineering matters, I speak off the cuff. I don't need a piece of paper because all that is in my head. Because I was taught I was mentored by some of the best engineers in Africa. And I can tell you, I've continued that mentorship. I do mentor our young people here. Even my colleagues, my other directors of the company, I've provided mentorship to them.
After the investors from South Africa invested the initial capital into your business, were they happy with the turnover? Did you manage to be able to grow the business?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the turnover grew from the $80,000. I'll tell you, within 5 to 6 years, I raised the business to a turnover of more than between $5 to $10 million a year. That's how I built the company. I worked very hard, and I raised the bar for my company. And they couldn't believe it because I was very young. Here's a young person, by the way, without any experience, without money, broke. And that's why for me, I can tell there's one thing I want to say. You don't need money to start a business. What you need is yourself. You have to take yourself to where things are happening.
Let's talk about discipline. Here's a young man at 31 years, you're given $85,000. At that point of your life, obviously, it would have been good to drive a good car. It would have been good to live in a good house. You talk about the fact that you still were able to take a bus ride and account for the money. How did you gain that discipline and delay immediate gratification?
First of all, that's a very important question. I think I would say my parents raised me well. Because, it all depends on the way you are raised. And the other thing is that, again, I can tell you, I'm a very determined person. I'm somebody who wanted to succeed at a very young age. So for me, I don't easily get excited with money. For me, I knew that, okay, look, in future, I'll be very successful. I'll probably be very rich. But I was not successful. For me, I always, look at like the long game. I used to look at myself in the next 15 and 20 years ahead. I said, look, right now, let me defer my gratification for later dates. So I was really very disciplined. In fact, during the time, it has even continued to now. When I'm holding other people's money which is not mine, I'm extremely very disciplined. And that it has also applied to my own money, even for company money and all that. Because I know that if you're not financially disciplined, you can't make it. And that's one of the key things young people now have. They are financially indisciplined. 2, they are very impatient. They want money now. But I can tell you, if you want to make it in life, you should be able to take care of other people's money. Because I'll tell you, why should God give you your money now if you can't take care of other people's money? What more your money? You're going to squander it. So for me, I believe, I think the way God does things, He gives you the ability to look after other people's money. Then when He sees the way you are looking after other people's money, then He starts now giving you your own money. Because He knows with that money, you are going to build yourself, you're going to build other people around you, and you're going to inspire the community. For me, that's what I believe in.
Now that you have children of your own, who obviously have not grown up in poverty, what motivates them?
First of all, the way I raise my children right now, I constantly tell them, I said, you know what? This privilege you are enjoying is because of me. And it's because I've gone to school and I've worked very hard. And I'm so proud, I can tell you, I've raised good children. They all go to school. They are all very determined. My daughter graduated from the UK. She was at the University of Greenwich. Then she also graduated, at Zikas, where she did an MBA. Okay? By other signs, I can tell you, they are all coming up very well. And I'm just praying that maybe one of them can be convinced to come into my stream of engineering. But I don't mind. Whatever they want to do, me, I'll support them. But I've raised them to know that poverty is very bad. I've told my kids, I said, poverty is bad and I hate it.
You bring out an interesting point. Let's talk about generational wealth. You'd obviously want probably one of your children to take over. Have you already started looking at how you could be able to pass on your consultancy?
Yes. First of all, I'll tell you, for me, generational wealth is very important for me. So, first of all, even the company I run, we've got what we call succession planning. That one we had to agree with other directors, with other shareholders. Suppose I drop dead today, who can take over? We already know. Even when the second one drops dead, who can take over? We already know. So in life, you don't leave anything to chance. Because when you do that, you don't plan properly. Now, regarding my shareholding, my wealth and all that, I want my wealth to be carried through my children, my grandchildren, great-grandchildren, even my other investments that I have. So that one I've thought about it, and this is where that's the basis on which I raise my children. I want to raise them, first of all, to be very disciplined, financially to be focused, to know what they want in life, not to be pushed around by the crowd. No, they should stand out. And my kids, most of them, they are very successful. They like reading. I take them, around the world. We travel together. I expose them a lot so that they know. I took them to NASA. I've taken them to...
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
In Cape Canaveral. Mm-hmm. So, just for them to know how these things work. And how, that's why you've seen that rocket. Mm. So it was the time when we visited Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral in Orlando.
Okay.
I had taken them there. And the reason why I even take my children there is for them to inspire them. United States is the richest country and the most powerful country in the world. Mm. And that is a place where you need to take the children to go and see what's happening. I've taken them to Dubai, where things are also happening. I've taken them to Qatar. Those are very developed, so they can see. They can see the tallest building in the world. They should not be limited by Findeco House. No. I want them to be inspired to greater heights. You get the point? I want them to bring those multi-story buildings from Dubai and from the United States. I want them in future, even if I'm no longer there, I want my son to own one of the tallest buildings in the country. And that's what I want. Even my children, not only my son, my daughters, I want them to make sure that they all get inspired.
Now that you have attained so much wealth, what is your greatest achievement to date?
Forming my own company from the scratch. Okay? Of course, it was formed with the help of UWP Consulting, but from the time we formed it, then we split from them, and to build Ng'andu Consulting to where it is, I think for me that has been my biggest achievement that I've achieved. That's number one. Number two, I think I've inspired a lot of young people. What I did was that as I even grow in my professional life as well as my business life as an entrepreneur, I made it a point. I said, you know what? You don't just grow alone. You have to grow with the community around you. You have to inspire, first of all, my partners, by the way. They are very successful. Me, I've made sure that my partners around me, they are very successful. My community, I've done that through inspiration. I've inspired them because I've done, I think, a lot of interviews. I've appeared on podcasts to talk about entrepreneurship. The reason why I've done that, because I want young people to know that when you don't have money, that's not the end of you. Because that's the real stuff. In fact, the real human being is the one without money. That's what you start with. Yes, you need school. You need to do all these things. The third achievement that I think I've achieved is the rise through professional bodies. First of all, I'll tell you, I was president for Association of Consulting Engineers of Zambia. That body is the body responsible for all consulting engineering professionals in the country. By the way, that's the business wing, you might say, of EIZ, Engineering Institution of Zambia. That's the body where I mean, engineering professionals who are in the business of consulting engineering. That's where they belong. And I became a president for that. I was the president for 2 terms. Then I joined EIZ as engineers representative. I was engineers representative for 4 years. Then after engineers representative, I stood as vice president for financial administration, which I said for 2 years. Then in 2018, I lost as EIZ president. I attempted. So from 2018 to 2020, I was not the president of EIZ. So obviously I've experienced failure. I failed, but by 2020, I had started regrouping. I regrouped now. I knew now the politics of EIZ, how to mobilize my support, how to sell myself a bit better. By 2020, I won my election by landslide. I became the president of EIZ. By the way, in 2020, I became the first person to be EIZ president and Association of Consulting EIZ president, Engineering Institution of Zambia president and Association of Consulting Engineers president at the same time. And apart from that, I can tell you, Ng'andu Consulting has expanded. We are in Rwanda, in East Africa, in Kigali. We are in South Sudan. And you can imagine we had to go to Rwanda, we had to go to South Sudan, and I'm very proud. We have performed excellent in Rwanda and even in South Sudan. And our works are above board. If you go there in Rwanda, ask about Ng'andu Consulting. They will tell you. They will tell you, say, this is the tour guy. He comes from Zambia. He normally, even at the airport, go and ask there. They will tell you, say, yes, it's Ng'andu Consulting. In fact, our offices in Rwanda, they are in an area called Kibagabaga. It's called Kibagabaga, an area in Kigali there. Entrepreneurship, where it's really celebrated when you start winning. Winning when you start making money. When you start becoming a household name. When your name now starts to impact on other people. I'll tell you, it's very, very nice. When you touch your pocket and you're never broke for many years, that kind of feeling, I can tell you, is good. You have your kids, your children, they go to school, you don't even think about it. You don't even know who pays school fees because everything is paid for. You get the point? You look at your bank account, you look at whatever, everything you have. And that's the beauty of entrepreneurship. Is it easy? No, it's not. Is it hard? Yes, it's very hard. But I'll tell you, the rewards are many. First of all, can you imagine where you're driving a very nice car. You're staying in a beautiful house. You own many houses. What else would you want? You own shares, stocks, and all that. Your children's future are guaranteed. That's the kind of thing that for me, I want to urge people to say entrepreneurship is worth it. But it's not something you can realize, for example, in 5 to 6 years. No. If you want results in entrepreneurship, work hard for the next 10 to 15 years. In 15 years' time, you start seeing results. And these results, we're not talking about, 10, 15 years, you're buying a Vitz. No. And I'm not saying a Vitz is bad, but I'm telling you, 10 to 15 years, you start driving proper cars. You drive the VXs, the ZX, and you can walk into the showroom and buy what you want. You know what wealth gives you? Wealth gives you choice. When you're a poor person, you don't have choice. Other people decide for you. You live with what is there. No choice. But I'll tell you, yes, I know I'm fortunate, but I'm self-driven. Where I've reached is not by accident. I think you've seen, I read a lot. I read books, I expose myself. I'm very honest, by the way. Integrity is one of the key ingredients for an entrepreneur. If you are dishonest, forget about making it in life.
What are some of the biggest projects that you've worked on and that you're really proud of?
Oh, there are many projects. Okay, I'll tell you, I'll mention deliberately the things which are Independence Stadium. Okay? On the Independence Stadium, we had put the artificial turf. The first artificial turf in Zambia, which was sponsored by FIFA, it was constructed and supervised by us. It was done at Independence Stadium, at the back there. Not the Hero Stadium, but at the back. When the first artificial turf came by FIFA, it was done by our company. Okay, that's number one. Then there are many urban roads projects. There used to be, what can I say? There's what called Formula One projects in Lusaka. In those roads, if you remember, in Kalingalinga, Garden, all these places, there was no tarmacs. Those tarmacs were put there by our company. Okay, we participated in so many of the tender. I think we had 2 lots. And I can also tell you that Twin Palm Road, you've seen the one which passes through Memorial Park? You know that road used to be a gravel road. We are the ones who transformed from a gravel road to a tarmac, all the way up to Chainda. So that road, I know when it was just a narrow road, we are the one who expanded it, who made it a tarmac. It was done in 2006.
Okay.
Yeah. Then in Rwanda, we have done Huye Stadium.
A stadium?
A stadium. We designed the stadium, Huye Stadium, which hosted the Chani 2016 Africa Cup. So you can imagine a Zambian company, you go to Rwanda, you go and, you go and design, you use a local Rwandese contractor, we supervise it from the scratch, and it's all constructed until it's finished, and the stadium even hosts the Chan 2016. Then we have done a university, there are hostels there of a University of Rwanda, and we have done roads, quite a number of roads under the World Bank, funded by the World Bank.
That should make you really proud.
Yeah.
Earlier you spoke about failure, an experience with failure when you lost the EIZ presidency.
Yes.
What are some of your other moments of failure, especially as an entrepreneur, that you had to pick up from and not give up?
You know, first of all, I can tell you, in our area of business, for example, you tender a lot. You tender for the jobs. So you can tender, you win some, you lose some. But there has been situations in the past where, can you imagine, you submit tenders, maybe 10, 12 tenders, and you lose all of them. And all your competitors, they have won 2, 1, 3, 4, you know. Then maybe you are having to deal with, maybe you've got, in your cash flow or the money which is you are owed, you are only able to maybe survive for 8 months. Okay? Because you know that, okay, fine, when we are paid this for 8 months, that will be the end of my company. But you know what? In that 8 months, I never gave up. I remember going to Rwanda. From nowhere, we picked up works in Rwanda. So in Rwanda, it started generating money, income for us. Before we could realize, in Zambia again, we tried again to do tenders, and we won. And you know, also we've gone through situations where, you know, where you've got bad economies, maybe you're going through a very bad patch. And imagine you've got 12 or 15 engineering professionals, they resign. Because the company is going through bad situations. This one comes, I'm resigning. The other week, this one comes, resigns. This one comes, resigns. You lose even some of the best engineering professionals. But you know what? I learned one thing. Loyalty is very, very important in entrepreneurship. In a company, you have to identify employees who are loyal to you. You know, me, I would rather have maybe less hard-working employees, but very loyal. Because I know I can make them to work hard. When you're trusted by people, money will follow you. You don't have to chase for money. A lot of people, they are chasing for money. That's what they don't see it. Money should be able to follow you. Create conditions on yourself. You know, create conditions by working hard, by being good to people, by creating a good network of people who trust you. Because, you know, people are rich. They only deal with people they trust. Even countries who are powerful, like the United States, you think that they can submit a tender so that everyone can tender? No. They have got companies in the US, they say, we have shortlisted you. Can you do this? Because one, they want trust. They want companies they know they can trust. Number two, they want companies they know they can deliver. So people are successful. They are not successful by accident. They are invited. In fact, for me, I'm looking forward to a level where my companies are invited in the mining sector. We are invited and we are given a contract worth $500 million to mine, $1 billion to mine. We want to take part, not only in Zambia, but even in other countries. That's the level I want to raise the bar of my company.
How do you mix work and family, create family time, especially that you're a busy man?
Yeah, I've got children, I've got a daughter, I've got my sons. First of all, because I'm very busy. And you know, I'll tell you the business that I do, we work in the night. Every day we wake up, we knock off maybe 19 hours, 20 hours every day. So this is something that we are used to it. Sometimes I used to sleep even at work, you know, because you're preparing tenders and you only go in the morning. So what I've done is that, first of all, I make sure I reserve twice a year. I take my family for a holiday. And this holiday takes about 2 weeks. Okay? 2 weeks, 1 2 weeks, another one 2 weeks. One, I normally take it in August, you know, when they close, July, August, somewhere there. Okay? Because my kids go to international schools. So when they close, then I take them for a holiday. Then in January again, I take them for a holiday for about 10 to 2 weeks. Okay? 10 days to 2 weeks. Now, once in a while, on Sundays and all that, you know, my kids, especially my sons, they love seafoods. So I do take time, I spend time with them. Sometimes I just take them for a drive. I take them around where I own property so that they can also see where the property is and all that. They can know, okay, daddy owns this and all that. So I do. But sometimes I do sit down with them just to inspire them. I talk to them about school and all that. My madam, she works for Ministry of Labor. She works for government. She works for Ministry of Labor. She's also busy, but I do support her. She's just completing her master's. I think she completed. Very soon she'll be graduating with a master's from UNILAS. So I'm very proud. My daughter has graduated. She's got a master's now. I don't know what she wants to do now next, but she'll tell me.
And now that you are here, how do you celebrate your money? How do you, especially that you delayed your gratification at some point, are you now at a place where you're able to celebrate your money, celebrate your achievements? And what do you do to celebrate?
Yeah, I mean, I take my family for a holiday. In Zambia, maybe not much. Okay. Once in a while, maybe when I'm out of the country with my family, of course, look, I do take them to very good places. You know, I mean, especially when you've worked so much, maybe for 6 months, you have to go for holidays. So you take them to some of the best places. You know, I remember at one time I took my family to the Atlantis Royal in Dubai. So my kids, they have enjoyed the dolphins and all that, you know, swimming with the dolphins and all that kind of stuff. It's nice to take the children there. So once in a while, I do celebrate. I remember I had my birthday, which I celebrated, my 50th birthday.
The one that made headlines.
Yes. First of all, I'll tell you, I couldn't hold it because it was 50 years. You know, and I don't regret it. I enjoyed it because I needed to. My daughter is the one who organized everything. My daughters and my sisters, you know, they organized the birthday party. They told me we have to buy 50 bottles of champagne and all that. The comments, some of the early comments, let DEC investigate him. Let DEC, please. There is no way he can. 50 bottles. This is no. This is not normal. So since when did we now discourage ourselves and not start? I mean, why should you not enjoy your money? You know. So in future, you can imagine if another businessman wants to celebrate, they have to go and hide. Kumpanga. So that, no, please, let's enjoy. Make sure na champagne mule to plastic. So.
The champagne shouldn't show.
Yes, when say mule to plastic, I don't want problems. Yeah? Now, what kind of a country are we? Yeah? Me, I don't have a problem if somebody has stolen money. Then you are doing that, yes. But if you have earned it, what is the problem? You know, I've been in a situation where, you know, I'm outside the country. Then I post a picture of myself. I'm just relaxing. People send you a message. Fumi hapo ku status. Please. Nendoke chinsi. No, abantu nabo bafulwa abantu.
Fish bafulidwe.
Fish bafulidwe imwe. Uthi nimpia chawo chandisi. Okay, me I'm just enjoying. No, Ebo. People are going through problems. And you to show you that you're enjoying like that. Abantu nabo bafulwa. So that's Zambia for you. And now, how can you, okay, if we all live in that environment, you tell me, how can you inspire the young generations to be hardworking? How can you inspire them?
What are your final words, especially to a young person that is watching this program and would like to be Engineer Ng'andu one day and attain the success that you've attained?
The take-home message for young people is that, first of all, they shouldn't lose hope. Me, I was a young man, just like you people, a young person. You can be a young woman, but there's one thing I can tell you. In fact, for you to be successful, and if you want to be inspired by me, I'm talking to a person who is broke, no money, but who is highly ambitious. So if you want to be successful, be broke, don't worry. That's not a bad characteristic, to be broke, because you are starting your life. But be very highly ambitious. Be proactive. Show up. Wherever things are happening, show up. You know, don't drink alcohol when you are poor. Don't. In fact, for me, I find it's irresponsible. It's a disservice to yourself when you're poor, especially when you're a dependent on other people. Wait until you start generating your own income. And use a disposable income, only disposable income, not your capital. Then you can have a drink here and there. You can enjoy yourself. You can enjoy your journey and all that. So I'm just telling you to say, for me to succeed, I was broke, but I was highly ambitious. And I've kept that ambition. I'm a go-getter, and I've continued pushing the boundaries. I want to be, in one of these few years, I want to be listed in the Forbes. And I can tell you I'm on course. And if I don't make it, my children, one of my children, will definitely reach the promised land.
Thank you so much, Engineer, for sharing your story. I must mention that it's very inspiring.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So there you have it. I've just been speaking to Engineer Abel Ng'andu, and he was sharing with us his story of success. I do hope that you found it very inspiring and you were able to pick a nugget or two. Join me next week at the same time for another inspiring story. Goodbye for now.